I'm gonna be close to you. Close to you.
Today we're going to talk about grief.
Nice topic.
I know.
Feels heavy.
And it is heavy. That's why we had to get some fancy coffees. We have a coffee shop across the street from our new fabulous office called Shift, and it is the best coffee. I don't know what they do.
But
It's like baby tears in it or something.
Shout out to Shift.
Shout out to Shift. Thank you, Shift.
When we talk about grief, what I think a lot of people know is the 5 stages of grief. Like, that's what everybody comes in quoting.
What are those?
That's what people talk about. And those are from the research of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And the 5 stages... and the 5 stages, I always remember them. This was a grad school thing because I got tested on it. So, Dabda. That's how I remember it.
That sounds like a street drug.
Dabda,
I dropped some Dabda last night. I was up for days. Oh, I guess it was last night. It wasn't days. Up for hours.
Up for hours. The 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance.
Can't ever do 4 with any kind of grace. Well, I mean, when you're counting it up. It's
Yeah. So those are the 5 stages of grief, and those have been around for a long time. And I think oftentimes we think, or people think, oh, we're going to go through this stages.
Checklist.
Okay,
Yep.
checklist. Yes, I have conquered denial. Done. And that's not how it goes at all. People come in and they're like, well, I'm depressed, so I'm almost done, right? I'm like, no, that's not how it works. So grief in those stages, as you know, you flip around in them.
like your sleep cycle. You don't go 1 through 4, you go this way.
Yeah. And so as we move towards acceptance, then our grief changes. But I don't know, I know how I experience grief, but I was curious, like, how do you experience grief? Because I actually don't think of it as the stages anymore. And I know there's research out there that talks about that it comes in waves.
That's me. And with any kind of grief, I know we've talked about this before about there being, you're grieving whether it's like a job loss or a relationship loss or a death. So I'll go with a death since that's the big one, or we consider the big one. So for me, it hits me like a wave. I can just be, like I can be doing my thing, and then all of a sudden it literally feels like it's starting at my feet and just whoosh. And I'm like, ugh. And I feel it all over again, and it's like it just happened. And
it's like internally, it just knocks you on your ass.
You can feel it. I mean,
Yes.
it's a physical manifestation, and it's so heavy, and it pulls up anxiety and depression, and then it's after the wave hits comes this like, deflated feeling. And so for me, as I'm working through grief, those episodes move further apart. I call them tsunamis. Remember when I was going through some stuff a couple months ago, and I was calling it tsunamis. I've been hit by a tsunami. I just had a tsunami, and then eventually they're not so much tsunamis. The weight is less, and they're further apart.
Yes.
And that's how I know I'm moving through that.
Yeah.
It's not every day, all day. I don't wake up and hit me.
Yes. So I think of it as waves too, and like I said, the research shows that it comes in waves now. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know the head of the research.
Woo! And there's actually, I think there's actually a process for those waves, and I'll tag something down here to maybe click to an article that if you want to read about it. But I do think of it as, I always think of it like the ocean, and how like sometimes if you've been to the ocean or the beach, that sometimes you can be out and way out and hit a sandbar, and you can go, oh wow, I can stand on my feet, but all around you are these really deep spots.
And sometimes the wave takes you down. Other times
like
you
the
can fight
undertow.
it. Sometimes you can just fight it. You can stay up on your feet.
Yep. Sometimes it's
Good
the undertow of the
analogy.
wave. The undertow of the wave. And honestly, sometimes I think of it as like just lapping against your toes. Like it's there, but it's not an awareness.
Right, like my grandmother, who I lost over a decade ago, it's probably like the little waves. I'll have a smell or a song and now it's the moments of,
Yes.
Yeah.
But then there's also might be big waves along the way that maybe there's a life event. And so in that life event, you miss that person more.
Like a wedding when you've lost a parent.
Yes.
Or graduation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. It can even be like something happens and it sweeps you away and you don't even recognize why. And then after thinking about it, you're like, oh my gosh, you know what it was? It was the fact that my mom used to make these incredible meatballs and here I was, you know, having these meatballs that were really just so good.
Yeah.
It can be just random stuff and we
I
don't
love when
expect
I
it.
point that out to a client when I say, you know what, this sounds a whole lot like what we talked about several months ago when this happened. And then they're like,
Yeah.
you tie it in together.
Yes.
And
Yes. So just know that grief you don't process through grief in 5 stages and then you're done.
Right.
And I think if you've been through grief, you kind of know that. So I thought it was really important and a good topic to talk about the process of grief and not just the fact that you go through these 5 stages,
Right.
that it comes in waves. And I think people connect to that.
And you're not failing at that if you're stuck somewhere and you haven't gone somewhere else yet.
Right. Hopefully that helps. If you have any comments about grief or anything that you want to share with us about your questions, anything you want to share about your grief process, please feel free to put it in the comments below or contact us. Otherwise, if this is something that you've enjoyed, like up the video, subscribe, and share it. We'd love for you to share it with other people if you know somebody who's going through grief. So
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.